this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the Razer Huntsman V2. This is a serious bit of kit from Razer, and an upgrade to the previous Huntsman lineup. Razer's made a number of different enhancements to this keyboard, the most interesting of which is one you can't see, which is the inclusion of dampening foam. So they've added some dampening foam into the body of this keyboard to reduce some of the rattly sound and the obnoxious clicky-clacky nonsense that you would have got on previous Huntsman variations. So it's been improved. You might have seen videos on the TKL version. This is the full-size Huntsman V2 with the purple clicky optical switches. You can also get red linear optical switches. I'm going to show you what's in the box, talk about my thoughts and feelings on this keyboard, talk about the features of it, and show off what I like and don't like about it. I wouldn't choose the purple clicky switches. That's one thing I'll say to start off with. Now, this keyboard comes with the 8000 Hz polling rate on it. It has fully programmable keys, and you can do on-the-fly macro recording. It's got onboard storage for up to 5 different profiles. Obviously, all the usual N key rollover with anti-ghosting. Because it has optical switches, you've got a guarantee up to 100 million keystrokes. And the setup with the key switches is quite interesting because obviously you have the clicky and the linear version. So the purple clickies have a light actuation with 45 grams of actuation force and a 1.5 mil actuation point, whereas the reds have 40 grams of actuation and 1.2 millimeters. So if you're more into gaming than anything else, the reds make a bit more of a sensible choice because they actuate a bit faster. What you'll see in the box is the usual sort of understated design on the outside. I think this keyboard shines once you start having a look at what's going on the inside, and obviously take a close look at the things, the various different accents, like the etching for gamers by gamers, the soft plush wrist rests, which I actually found quite comfortable, has a little magnets on the top of it as well, so it just sort of snaps to the keyboard. There's no plastic that could accidentally break. There's no clips to hold it in place. It's just latches on with a little bit of a magnet, so it's a nice option now, I think, because it means you don't have to worry about breaking it over time, and it's just really easy to connect or take away if you don't want to use it. And so a good setup there. It has a sort of matte finish to it. A PBT setup, obviously, with Razer's PBT doubleshot keycaps. Also has a standard bottom row layout, so you can use your own keycaps, which I did do, and I will show you later on. Again, you have a lot of that for gamers by gamers etching on the back, and some nice rubber feet, as you'll see, so it doesn't slide around on the desk. I really like the little small things about this keyboard, including the hidden things like that dampening foam that's tucked away within the body. There's a braided USB cable on the left hand side. It's not removable. And one thing that you will note, and I'll hopefully show you a bit later on, is that the PBT doubleshot keycaps have a really nice sort of finish to them, but they do have the same problem that I had with previous Huntsman keyboards, in that they don't let a lot of RGB lighting through, and some of the lettering basically ends up looking dark in places. Now I'm going to be quiet for a minute so you can hear the purple clicky switches. These are quite loud, and I found them still to be quite clicky. It is obviously Razer's classic clicky design. They're not quite as loud as the green clicky switches, but they certainly aren't quiet either. The reds would definitely be a better choice. The dampening foam has made a difference, though, in comparing to previous Razer keyboards that I've tried that didn't have it. So it's certainly not as obnoxious, but it is pretty loud still with the clicky ones. So I'd recommend going for reds personally. I also found that there was some rattle from some of the stabilizers on things like the spacebar and the enter key, and some of them inconsistency with the stabilizers as well. So I found, for example, different noise levels between those different keys. Now, each of the keys themselves also have stabilizers. It's got per key stabilization, which is pretty neat. So there is an attention to detail and a really good sort of premium finish on this, which is tucked away, hidden away, and not immediately obvious. The other thing you get is the controls on the right hand side. So you have this multi-function digital dial. You've got the 4 media playback buttons. It's quite nice to have dedicated playback keys here. Obviously gives you the option to skip and pause and play music, and to mute and adjust volume, but you can also customize that dial within Razer's Synapse software. And here you can see some of the RGB lighting. If you look at enter and delete keys, for example, you'll see that there are some dark spots on the lettering. That's obviously part of the nature of having PBT double shot keycaps. They're thicker, they're more durable, they last longer, but the end result, unfortunately, is it doesn't let as much RGB lighting through, which I think takes away from the aesthetic, which is a shame. The quality of things like the digital dial, though, is nice. It obviously has that texture finish to it, satisfying action, and obviously it's handy to have a volume wheel or a button that you can control different things from with ease. The keycaps, obviously, also with that PBT double shot nature, have a nice textured finish to them, which gives off a comfortable fit in the hand. They have a nice curve to them, as you'll see, and so they're easy to type on and easy to game with as well, and obviously very responsive thanks to those optical switches that actuate with a light beam rather than the classic mechanical switch setup. And here I'm just going to give you a demonstration and a close-up look at a few things about it. So you'll see each of the keys has its own stabilizers. Fairly unusual, you won't usually see that on keyboards, so a little more attention to detail. And if you take off some of the keycaps, the larger ones obviously have their own setup in terms of better stabilization, then you can see things like this where you have the plastic clips to hold them in place, and you have to make sure that you have those properly connected. If you're taking off and setting up your own keycaps, you obviously have to switch those over as well. The purple clicky switches are obviously very clicky. They still have a good actuation. I think they actuate really fast. I found them accurate and agile and easy to use and actuate nicely, and certainly do have a nice clicky sound to them. They are just a bit too loud for me, unfortunately, but that is obviously going to be a personal preference. What you will see, though, is a nice bit of RGB lighting coming through there, so there is a potential for that, and you can obviously adjust this within Razer's Synapse software, customize it via Razer Chroma, and have your own personalized setup in terms of the RGB lighting there. Close action on just how the stabilizers work and the keys themselves. Obviously, the optical keys are designed to be more durable over time, and this setup with those stabilizers per key and the optical nature of the keys should mean that they'll last a lot longer than a standard traditional setup as well. Now you can see what the keyboard looks like when the whole thing's stripped down and all the switches are visible. And the reason I did this is I wanted to switch out for my own keycap set just to see what the difference be between it. So I just went about stripping off the standard keycaps. Now, because it has a standard bottom roll layout, it means you can obviously use your own keycap set. And Razer does sell a number of its own sets that you can use. This isn't a Razer one, obviously. This is a more colourful one that I bought off Amazon. And I used that to sort of set up a different style and certainly a more striking finish than the standard black keycaps, which are obviously a lot more stealthy. I added a bit of colour here and made it sort of stand out a bit more. I actually think it looks quite nice like this, and the result is interesting and certainly not as matte, and it still sounds interesting to type on as well. Keen-eyed viewer might spot I had a problem with the keycap set on this one, though, because it wasn't quite designed for the layout here, because this is a UK layout keyboard and I'm using a US layout key set, and so there are a few keys which actually come from a different set. So I've got some Corsair PBT double shot keycaps in there on things like the enter key, and you can see the RGB lighting shining through a bit better there. So it is worth noting, depending on what set you're using, you might find less or more lighting. Actually, the key set that I'm using there has actually reduced the amount of RGB lighting shining through, but it has improved the overall aesthetic, I think, personally. So the end result is a nice keyboard with a really premium design to it. I think the hidden features underneath, things like the dampening foam, the 8000 hertz polling rate. Obviously, you can see you have on-the-fly macro recording in F9, F10. You have access to be able to adjust the brightness of the keyboard with ease, and also obviously the media control buttons and that digital dial that can be customized too. You have this matte finish case on it as well. It certainly feels hefty and weighty and has a premium design quality to it. And I think that the sort of understated matte nature of it is going to appeal to some, and it also doesn't really do it justice, because when you first get out of the box it doesn't look like much, but it is actually a very premium keyboard with a really nice finish on it, and it's certainly comfortable thanks to that nice plush wrist rest as well. But again, that's going to be a personal preference. You might not like them. You can see that you can also adjust the height between 6 and 9 degrees on the angles there, so you can use those feet to tweak it into the position you'd like. I personally found that the standard fit was nice, though. It has a sort of nice curve to it, you can see, and a nice sort of setup in terms of the ergonomics, which means that it's pretty good to type on. I've been using this for working and typing all day long, and then gaming sessions as well, so I had a good taste of what it was like in both, and I found it pretty good. Obviously, if you are sharing an office space with somebody though, those clicky switches might get a bit too loud. Again, you can see another close-up of the standard key set and the RGB lighting, and you'll notice what I was saying again with the dark spots on some of the lettering, which is a real shame, I think, but it is part of the nature of it. You've got these keycaps that are going to last, they're a bit more durable, they're better quality, but unfortunately they reduce what lighting shines through. All in all though, a very nice keyboard option, but I would suggest going for the red switches rather than the purple. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting, hilarious, or otherwise. Take a look at these other videos that I think you might find interesting as well. And have a look at the description for links and other information you might find useful. Click that join button to see the benefits of being a member of my YouTube channel. And most importantly, have a great life.